Welcome into another Red Out podcast. Glad to have you all back with us. We got some big news tonight. We got football to talk about and all that good stuff. So hang out with us.
Hey, how about them tops, son?
All day, SEC boys. SEC, they supposed to be SEC. Where's the other, baby?
You're listening to the Red Out Podcast.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll let that fade out a little bit. And I'll do a quick ad from our sponsor this episode.
I am not ashamed to admit in the past, I've needed a therapist. We all need someone, and it's a strong person who can admit it. I talked to my doctor, who referred me to a therapist, and I really didn't have much say as to who the therapist was. But with this episode's sponsor, Betterhelp, you do. You can filter out who you would like to talk to, age, gender, religion, and more to pair you with the person who works best for you. And if the person isn't exactly who you were wanting, you're not stuck. You can switch counselors. BetterHelp strives to offer affordable, professional, and accessible online therapy. So go to betterhelp.com/redout today to save 10%. By doing this, you not only support us, you can work toward a brighter, healthier you. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode.
Yes, thank you all so much. We appreciate it. And we've got Jared tonight. We got Alex tonight. We are talking some ProTops. But first, I want to talk to you guys. I appreciate your listening and our subscribers and everything else that you do. We are going to start a new phase of the Red Out podcast. As you saw last week, our YouTube listeners, watchers, whatever, kind of got some notes and some visual aids to follow along with to help to keep you all on track when we go off the rails. So what we're going to do is we're going to step into the Patreon phase of everything, and what that means is those of you who have been typically listening or watching on YouTube, you will be listening a little bit later than normal, but we will. Those who have been listening a little bit later than normal, you will start getting episodes at noon Eastern our time on Thursday instead of listening to those as soon as they drop. If you'd like to listen to them as soon as they drop, you can. You can join our Patreon. It's Redout. Patreon.com/Redout. There goes my Ring doorbell. Sorry about that. But yeah, if you become Patreons, they're our lowest tier, my dudes, it's $3 a month. Next tier is our producers. They're $7 a month. And the last tier is executive producer. It's $12 a month. Basically, that will help support the podcast. At least get it not in the red, but get it where it's actually sustaining itself. And we would appreciate all your support by doing that. And there are advantages. If you join at the $3 mark, you get to join our Discord. We'll talk football. We'll talk basketball. Rumors that we're hearing, all that good stuff. If you just want to, talk to the guys one-on-one live, we're on there. So be glad to hit you up and do all that good stuff. So we appreciate your support. If you are not able to financially contribute, liking and sharing episodes helps us out a lot too. So first, like always, winners and losers. Jared, what do you got, buddy?
Oh man. So I've tried to think about this so hard. I mean, loser to me, like this is kind of premature because we played them this week. It has to be Hawaii because they got absolutely thrashed by Vanderbilt. So that makes me feel a little better about this weekend's matchup. But for Vanderbilt to drop 63 points on you, that's something I don't think I've ever seen in football before. Like that is impressive. And it was like midnight too. It was a late game out in Hawaii. So I'm sure those Vanderbilt guys, they were probably still kind of jet lagged and everything else from being over there, but it didn't keep them from like absolutely
Slaughtering them. Yes.
Yeah, just tearing them apart. So that was really surprising. I guess just the winner is all of us because college football season is back, y'all. I mean,
yes,
the NFL will be starting on the 11th. This is week 1, technically, of college football. We were the very first college football game on Saturday. I was there. It was so fun. I'm just glad that it's back.
So what did you think of the crowd Were you happy with the crowd size, or should it have been?
Well,
Do you think we should have had some more people there? What do you think?
I think they said it was like 13,000 or something, which I mean, that's not horrible,
No,
but
but
I mean, it could
still.
definitely be a lot better, especially it was the first game of the year. And of course, all of the students had just got on campus and everything. I feel like the berm definitely could have been filled up. I think that they could have easily gotten all of the students in. I don't know where they were all at, but I feel like it could have been better. It was still annoying because all the places with shade in the first half were basically gone. So I was frying to death the entire first quarter. So that was a lot of fun. And it was it was probably the most chaotic game I've ever been at weather-wise because it was like direct sunlight 90 degrees for the first half, and then literally as soon as the bands were done playing at halftime, it just comes like a massive rainstorm and it's raining the entire third quarter. So
Yeah,
it was
that's what I've
interesting.
heard. That's what I heard. I was kind of caught some of the talk from Louisville's station because they went down there because Louisville didn't have a game last week.
Yeah.
So they were down there and they were like, we got soaked. It was almost like a spin cycle, is what they called it, which I thought was
Yeah, I got
hilarious.
sunburned and then soaked, so that's like the perfect combination. You get super hot, but at least get cooled off.
Yes. Uh, and I will say another thing. I guess loser toppers this week, and this there's going to be a specific reason for that. The game being at midnight Eastern time,
Yeah, that's
11 o'clock
horrible.
Central time. That is horrible. It's just like, oh my gosh, that's just so bad.
We'll
I
go from
mean,
being the
unless
first
you're,
college game to the last, the last one that'll be played that day.
I mean, if
Yes.
you have like a third shift job or just happen to be still up at like 11:30, I mean, it's your treat. But other than that, it's like just playing in the void, unless you're in Hawaii, of course. But
Well, yeah, exactly. But I mean, and yes, people working third shift. I mean, we got some listeners in the UK. They're going to be listening at 6 a.m. Lucky them. But
Mhm.
it's like, for us Eastern time people, it's like this is miserable. I will say I will probably not catch the game live. I'll have to do it. Uh, I'll have to catch it the next morning because I'm too old. I'm not staying up that
Yeah,
late.
I will say right now, if you're gonna try to keep up with live updates from the towel rack for this game, either you're insane or just don't count on it. Because I'm going to be going to Eastern Tennessee. I'm going like my favorite place, Fall Creek Falls. I go there every year. I'm going to be over there. So I mean, I won't even get to see the game regardless. I'm going to be out of town, even if it was at a respectable hour. But don't expect a game recap to be posted on the towel rack at 2 o'clock in the morning, unless
Two,
Fletcher is
what,
just
four?
insane. Yeah, whatever time that game will end, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's it's a pretty wild game. Alex, what do you have, buddy?
okay, for my winners would have to be just piggybacking off of what Jared said. Just the whole entire country right now, college football is back. Even though we were the first college football game by at least 30 to 45 minutes in week 0, all the other games, if you're basically just a fan of all team, like all levels across the board, this weekend has got some great matchups. Of course, we got Hawaii. But still, football's back. The NFL is also going to start the regular season in less than 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
someone.
just, hey, football weather's slowly coming up. So it's great. And the losers and fans of this program, y'all have to probably agree with me on this one, but just the downfall of Nebraska football currently going on right now. And for like our younger listeners, Nebraska is in the same realm as like the USC's or the Notre Dames. Like in the late 80s to like 90s, early 2000s, Nebraska was one of those universities that just you wanted to go there.
Nebraska, Miami. Yeah, totally agree.
Wanted to go there and play, and they were very contending in national championships at one point. Over the years, the program has went downhill somewhat. The got big it got transitioned from the Big 12 to now the Big 10, and it's really not that much of a difference, but they did play one of their openers overseas in Dublin, Ireland, if I'm
Hmm.
not mistaken. And it was just a lot of questionable play calling going. Like they even had a 10-point lead and they kicked an onside field goal and somehow lost it. And they basically just ended up dropping the game to Northwestern. So it was, as bad as that was, it was a conference opener in another country. So it just, like,
That's
Nebraska
wild.
fans, I feel y'all's pain right now. I really do.
I mean,
Just a meme at this
Alaska,
point.
well, Alaska fans, Miami Dolphin fans, Indiana Pacer fans, they
It's all
just
the
all get
same.
lumped into the same thing.
Suffering.
Yeah.
At least the Dolphins, they were good in the 70s, which obviously I wasn't alive for that. The Pacers were good in like the early 2000s. I didn't care about it then. So, I mean, I have yet to see any golden era of any of my favorite sports teams, except WKU football, dadgummit. I have seen it.
Okay, so serious note. We do have some former Hilltopper football coach news. Excuse me. Eastern Kentucky's coach, Walter Wells, used to coach offensive line at Western when I was on the Hill. So he is head coach over at Eastern right now, and he recently, I think it was Sunday morning, had a quote cardiac event. So he was rushed to the University of Kentucky, and as far as I know, he's doing good right now. He's on the recovery. So send good thoughts, send prayers, whatever you all are comfortable with. Just send good juju his way, and I'm sure his wife will appreciate it. So he is on the men's. I don't know what cardiac event means, but just send the good juju. He'll really appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Yes.
Lighter note. So go back to my script outline. Sorry about that. Yeah, Coach Wells was one of those coaches. He always cracked me up. He was his offensive line coach, so he was always like super strict with O line. Really tear into him.
Why are we snapping?
Yeah, there he is. There's Matt. Yeah, that's and he.
Hey boys, I'm pulling up in the parking garage.
On campus, our live correspondent, Matt McCay.
Yes, going into the volleyball.
That's right.
Volleyball match, we can
It's a big
stay
one.
informed. But yeah, have you heard anything out of Wells?
I haven't heard anything since. I haven't heard anything since I saw the update about the quote unquote cardiac event. But I mean, it kind of we don't really know and can't speculate. But
I don't want to speculate or anything, but
but he was such he was an intense guy, but it was all a character act that he put on. Like he really is just a nice man when you like if he's off the field away from the players.
oh my god, yes,
He's one of those like classic football coaches that you just think of screen cut and all that stuff. And he's away and out of character. He's just like, hey man, how's it going? You good? Good to see you.
Yeah, he was
just
super
a nice
nice,
guy.
super nice. But he, the funniest thing, and I will probably, as long as I live, I'll never forget this. The coaches pranked the team. Matt, were you working with the team when that happened? When they pranked him?
Which prank?
The one where, okay, let me just tell the story. I don't want to run.
Tell the story, and I'll let you know.
So, we're having practice scrimmage. Everybody's just kind of, Wells is just seems like, he's having a rough day. He's just going, if he's normally at 100%, he's at 200% on his guys. Same thing for Mathis, and then they start mouthing back and forth, and they start me, and we're going team, whatever, offense versus defense. And Wells is yelling at his guy, and Mathis is like, he's not got it. He ain't going to do it. He can't beat so-and-so. And then they start mouthing back and forth. Well, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? And then they start running across the field and fighting. And
yes, I remember that.
The coaches, of course, it was towards the end of Elson, if I remember right. Elson got all the players circled up to start doing up downs. And I'm sitting here and I was like, it's not even like their fault. It was the coaches fighting. Why aren't we got the guys doing this? And, of course, he's like, chop them. I can't believe this. That's, what's going on? And then, of course, then he starts blowing the whistle and he's like, gotcha. And we're all like, what? Like, what is going on? It was pretty funny, and it was a pretty realistic fight, if I remember right. I don't think they pulled any punches. They were really like going at it, as far as I remember, but it was pretty funny. Yeah, but yeah, hopefully Wells is doing a lot better.
And there's no telling why we were 0-12 that season. They were busy scripting fights in the middle of practice instead of trying to win.
We only fight North Texas, remember?
Hey,
That's right. Bring your sledge, baby.
Yes. Jared, do you want to talk about the softball facility? And I'll let Matt talk about volleyball news in a sec.
I mean, just kind of briefly, but yeah, I mean, today, I think it was either today or yesterday was the groundbreaking for the new soccer and softball facility. So that was awesome. They got to let a lot of the players and coaches and stuff have shovels and be a part of it. So I don't know when it'll actually be finished, but it's definitely long overdue for that, as well as indoor football facility. Both of those additions on campus are long overdue. So I'm really, really happy to see them get that. I mean, they've definitely earned it. So no, softball's been killing it. Really happy for them. So that's going to be a good addition on campus for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Matt,
I believe they've already opened it too, right? Didn't they do it and it's done?
I have no idea. Can't answer that. Do you know, Jared?
I thought they just did.
Yeah, man. Can y'all hear me? It's breaking up on my end. Okay.
Matt.
Can y'all hear me?
He's stuck in PS2. There we go.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I'll hear you fine. I'm just messing with you.
You douchebags, man. All I hear from y'all is like, I don't know if I'm talking or not. Sound like an idiot. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited. Tonight is number 3 Louisville and number 22 Western volleyball. It's at Diddle. So if you're currently listening and you're close to Bowling Green, turn it on in your car and head up to the game. It should be really interesting. I mean, 2 top 25 teams. It's a pretty exciting, and it should, if Western can win, it should set us up nicely to have a really super high quality win. If we lose, there just aren't a ton of opportunities for us, a quote unquote a mid-major school to make a splash and find a way to host NCAA tournament. But Western has done that before and has done it recently, and this will be a huge step. Ironically, when they hosted, they lost to Louisville in the second round. But it's just it's an exciting
Kentucky's volleyball U. So yeah,
and the game's televised too. Go ahead, you're good.
Oh, anyway, I was just going to say, I mean, it's just a really exciting time. And even though we lost, I think 6 seniors and stuff, we're still ranked for like the 1,000th year in a row. And it's really just amazing what Travis Hudson continues to do. Go ahead.
All right,
completely
the game
agree.
is televised.
Go ahead, Alex.
You're good. The game should be televised. It's on ESPN Plus. If you're local here in Bowling Green, possibly it'll be on PBS.
Yes.
There we go.
We need to continue our push to get Travis Hudson a statue next to Diddle. Mm-hmm. Maybe not as tall, but just, right up there next to it, because he's done so much with volleyball.
80-foot statue. Make him look like those communist dictators in like Russia. Those massive statues they have of like Stalin. Make it as big as that.
What would be really funny?
Is this like ancient Babylon or something?
Maybe.
Bow down to Almighty Travis.
What would be really funny is if we could get like a volleyball net to put right in front of Diddle, and then have a statue of Hudson like jumping up to spike it into Diddle. I think that'd be great.
Nice.
And apparently nobody else does it, but okay, that's fine.
There's a first time for everything.
So Alex, I'm going to let you roll with the ProTops update.
Okay. This season is going to be very interesting just because we have not only 3 new Hilltoppers into the fold, but just some in very interesting situations. I'm just going to start with this last class, Bailey Zappi. He is on the Patriots roster. He made it. It doesn't seem if he's going to be the number 2 or the number 3 guy behind Mac Jones. But all I know is Belichick does these things for a reason. I think he sees something very special in Bailey. So he might be an insurance plan if Jones goes down, or I don't know. It's still the post Brady era in New England, so there's no telling what they're going to go at this point. And if Zappy becomes quote unquote that guy, then that'd be great. Also, D'Angelo Malone, he also made the Falcons roster. He could potentially be on the rotational side as they're in a 3-4 defense, which is 3 linemen, 4 linebackers. So he could see some playing time, or he could start later in the season. We really don't know. Jeff Stearns was cut by Tampa Bay after having a pretty decent offseason, but it seems like he'll probably get a practice squad opportunity or waivers elsewhere. Jordan Meredith was originally waived by the Raiders, but was brought back this morning to the practice squad for much needed offensive line depth. So going on to Mike White, he is listed as quarterback number 3 on the Jets behind current starter Joe Flacco and the injured Zach Wilson, which Wilson's going to miss week 1. And whatever the Jets do at this point is your guess is good, Amon. It's the Jets after all. Fancying the start rotation for the O-line, they have cut at least 2 guys, and I know Becton, their original first rounder from a couple years ago, is injured again, so you'll be able to see Famp on the line. Higbee, there's not much on him. He's definitely starting tight end this year for the Rams as they try to go for Super Bowl number 2 defending this year. And the free agents we got are Joel Igbunue. He was waived by the Seahawks. Deion Yoder was waived by the Cardinals. They're both in free agency, like I said. Forrest Lamp is on the injured reserve for the Saints, effectively ending the season. And in other news for football, John Haggerty is ripping in the CFL. His Argos are set to take on the Ticats Monday, along with Deontay Ruffin. He was injured for a bit, but he's made well over 20 tackles, being on the secondary for the Calgary Stampeders. Both of those teams will play their rivals Monday on ESPN Plus if you're looking for some football to watch on Labor Day. And that's all I got for ProTops.
What about Devin Key with the Chiefs? Was he able to stick around?
He was cut, and I don't think the Chiefs brought him back on their practice squad, so he could get picked up via
I was
waiver.
watching their last preseason game, and Key actually made like the game-winning like deflection that made the Chiefs win. So that
I
kinda
saw that
sucks
play
to
too.
kinda-
It was
yeah,
really good.
that
But
sucks.
the camp, well, I mean, for some whatever reason, they take pride in defensive depth. But I don't know. I think the key move is still a head scratcher. So maybe they'll bring him back mid season like everyone else. But that's all I know.
Yeah, that's. I always enjoy seeing the positive, Western guys that are able to make it in the league, whether it's a short time, whether it's a long time, whether they're practice squad, whether they're starting. They're having success at that level, and it reflects back on Western that we're able to recruit these guys, we're able to develop these guys, and prepare them for the league. Not everybody's going to have a Jack Dole NFL experience. They're nobody's that's and not everybody's going to have that, but we want more of those for Western. So, that's great. That's great. So let's talk a little Austin Peay. Matt, you still with us?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
There he is. There he is. Matt, I'll let you talk about Austin Peay first. I don't know if you'll be able to stick with us the entire time, but what did you think of the game on Saturday?
Yeah, so I think we went in, and obviously it's an FCS team, so you expect to win. But they ended up being a little bit more of a challenge for us. And the more that I've looked at it, I really do feel like maybe Austin Peay is a little bit better than they were supposed to be. I think if you look at overall yardage given up and stuff like that, we gave up a little over 300 yards. So that's not a disaster. We just had I went back and kind of looked at some stats and stuff. I think it was like 7 plays that were kind of bigger chunk plays, and that was the majority of their yards. So if we can just fix some screw ups, I think we would have been looking at that game a lot differently. There were some other things that happened as well, like the bang bang play with Hernandez when he returned it for a touchdown. They called it back. The kind of freakazoid play where they fumble on the punt and our guy like tosses it back into his hands.
Oh my god.
Those are like just freak accident kind of plays that I think changed the movement of the game and stuff. So looking back on it, I mean, we win 38-27. We took care of business. We didn't screw up. That's the main thing. You don't want to lose.
And you don't want
I
anybody
think we
hurt.
say what?
I said,
Yeah.
and you don't want any
Yeah.
major injuries.
Yeah, I think. By the way, I think Broderick Martin was hurt, but I don't know. It seemed like from Helton's comments post game and stuff like that it's probably not that big of a deal. But it's certainly something to watch because he was defensive MVP in the spring. So if the guy can't go, it does affect our D tackle depth, which we were already concerned about. So I really hope it's not a lingering injury. I'm also concerned about Austin Reed. I don't know if it was mentioned on the broadcast, if anybody noticed, whatever at all, but he did go inside the locker room and had his shoulder checked out, and then they came back out and he ended up playing. But if you notice when he pitched to his left, he basically used both hands to pitch it, and it looked really awkward. I think it was because his left shoulder was giving him some pain. So hopefully it's no big deal, and they do some PT and he's good to go. But something to watch because even if it's his off shoulder, they still need to be able to move around, and you can't have a bum shoulder trying to play quarterback. So that was kind of my takeaway.
I didn't see the injury. I wasn't able to watch the game. I was actually at work during the game. But from what I've heard and what you're describing, it sounds like a sprain. And don't hold me to that, but and he could have just, I don't know if he just landed on it and he sprained his AC joint, which that's super painful, but maybe it's something he can play through and do a little PT like you said, and maybe he'll be good to go. But nevertheless, Alex, what'd you think?
Yeah, rotator cuff. It's
I
probably
was-
AC-ish kind of something. Something got jammed, something like that.
Yeah. Alex, what do you think?
I was able to catch the second half of the game, but I went back and watched the first half via Hilltopper Fault. And for what it was worth, Austin Reed did not have a bad day. 276 yards, 4 touchdowns, and interception. It was not a bad debut. Running game was a little bit slow, but that's kind of typical at this point. It could use a little bit more work, but the bright side about that is Davion Irvin Poindexter was the leading rusher. He had 15 carries, 48 yards. Receiving, David Davis and Malachi Corley was basically the guys all day. Corley had 3 touchdowns, which he only had 7 touchdowns last year. It's crazy that he's literally on the upswing of passing it by getting at least a third of that. And for the defense, I mean, like Matt said, this was an Austin Peay team that we really could have taken a lot more serious. This game could have went left quick, but for the most part, we took care of business. And even though it's 38 points, it's still nothing to hang our heads about. Like, we just got to clean up what we had mistakes in the first game and just try to improve for this Hawaii game.
Yeah. And that's my opinion, is this was more of a preseason warm-up game than an actual game. But at the same point, you don't want to look over it, and you don't want what was it, Central Arkansas, Maine? You don't want those things coming back.
Name the list off. Indiana State.
Yeah. Indiana State. Oh, Lord Jesus.
Oh,
Don't even
man.
mention that nightmare. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things, there's a lot of instances in Hilltopper history where they just screwed the pooch and they either overlooked somebody or, whatever. So We'll talk about it in a
Going for
minute.
it on 4th and 3 from the 20. Tied up.
Well,
Let's run it into
You
the
know-
weak side. Run power.
Yeah. come on, bro. This should work, bro. Let's do this, bro. But
Let's run it off tackle with no tackle over there.
Let's
but
go for
with
it on your own 20-yard line.
hey, fourth and 70.
It was
Let's go
literally
for it on our
tied.
20-yard line.
You literally gave them the ball and they kicked a field goal on a 3 and out.
You could have just tossed
You
them an
idiot.
interception and just let them.
God,
Like-
I will never forget that as long as I live.
That was. I honestly, like, at that point, like, to me, that is when you say, as somebody who watches football, you say he doesn't know football.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are instances in games where you go, okay, yeah, he could go for it. You don't want to get caught up in the emotion and the game and think, okay, we should go for it. It's 4th and 10. No. When it's 4th and 1 and you're like, we've got to score this series. We've got the momentum. We've had a couple big plays. Okay, let's go for it here. But when it's 4th and 5, you're on your own 20 and you're like, go for it. And everybody's like, no, dude, you don't go for that. No, you don't go for that.
Okay,
That's too much
perfect
risk.
example. Perfect example, okay, of between quality and not. Mike Sanford goes for it on like 4th and 2 or 3 on the 20 tie game. Tyson Helton has 4th and inches and it's like on the 35 and it's actually somewhat debatable and he decides to punt it and this punter kicks it 61 yards or they get the ball at the 8 and then we ended up scoring off of that. That was a quality decision, even though the crowd was going crazy telling him, go for it, whatever. He didn't, and it paid off. That's quality decision making, and that's a huge factor to what helps you win and lose.
Yeah, those
Amen.
are good reminders of like he is the head coach and he actually kind of knows what he's doing now, which is nice to see because sometimes that doesn't happen.
And honestly, like, that's my thing when we play a lot of these teams is I have more faith in Helton than I did in Sanford.
Oh yeah, easily.
Oh,
Sam.
hands down.
And there's been some times I disagreed. There's been some times I disagreed, but I mean, I actually understood the thought process versus, yeah, man, let's go for it 4th and 7 from the 13 in the red zone when we're down 3.
Yeah,
We could just tie it up, but I want to go for a touchdown.
Come on, bro. What were we thinking here? Come on. I mean, like, who you
let's
looking
run
at?
2 yards on 4th and 4.
Man.
Like, yeah, he just, of course, okay, so just out of curiosity, I did look him up the other day. He is still in Colorado, supposedly.
Interesting.
Same position?
Yeah, as far as I know. So he's doing pretty good. And that's, hey, I wish him all the luck in the world. It's hard to come in after a winning, successful coach like Brom.
Mm-hmm.
Whether if he was winning as much as Brom was, people would still be concerned about the low scoring, or something like that. So I do feel for him. I do have sympathy for him. But at the same time, I do not think he was ready for a head coaching position at Western.
He's a recruiting specialist. He should be a position coach, and he should be able to go get his talent, and that's kind of his niche. But I don't think he has the expertise to be able to run an offense or run a program.
And I can agree with that.
Absolutely.
But he can develop and become a head coach someday. I'm not going to say he's not. I won't say that he can't, because there are good examples of coaches who are recruiting specialists, like Joker Phillips, who is like the far worst part of the spectrum. And then there are some like Kenny Payne in basketball, who's he hasn't played a game yet at Louisville, but Louisville is ready for him, and I think he could be Mike Sanford, when he settles somewhere, he could be a very good coach. Once he finds the right niche. No offense.
I'm talking about a
Bobby
good recruiting
Petrino
coach. About Willie Tackett.
Willie's a good one, but he I think Willie got too
Yeah, that
high
would be a good
for
example of
where he was.
somebody who can recruit, who doesn't screw everything up. He just recruits really well, and he does okay on the coach part, but he's fairly successful.
Yeah, and honestly, like I think Willie just went he went too high too quick.
Mhm.
I felt like he
Um,
was in over his head just with the hires he was getting, but also the opportunities, because the same pattern kind of followed at South Florida and Oregon.
completely agree. He may have been better off at Oregon though if he had stayed, because Florida State was in a rebuilding year, and it didn't matter who went in there; they were going to lose that job.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think. I don't think. The ghost of Bobby Bowden could fix that.
Probably not.
You know.
Oh,
There was a lot of problems there, and that's why I think Jimbo left. But Bobby Petrino's coaching. I mean, that just goes to show
For
you
Missouri
Matt's favorite
State,
coach.
though, I mean, he's definitely a lot lower tier than what he's been. So, I mean, but he is still around.
I think I will go so far as to say I think Mike Sanford could coach at Missouri State. Just saying.
Oh, easily, yeah.
it seems like more of his speed, like just a FCS level or worst case scenario independent, like what, New Mexico State or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's possible for Mike Sanford to be
Also,
able to do that.
someone over in Missouri State right now, Nelson Fishback, he's like an assistant coach over there. So he's someone that we should probably be keeping our eye on down the road and kind of see what kind of opportunities he gets.
That's a good point. I think he's somebody that could really be a pretty good coaching prospect in the future, for sure.
My question is, hypothetically, do you think he could be a person to replace Helton eventually?
He's still got
Would
a
you
ways to
want-
go.
Fishback, way down the road, he's still young. I wouldn't say he's like that kind of superstar level. I'd say, what about Jamarcus Shepard?
Yeah.
He'd be
Okay.
somebody. If you remember him, you remember Shep?
I think so.
He's a black guy. He came on right at the end. He was super
I
awesome
remember
guy.
Shep. I remember
Yeah.
Shep. Is that okay? Okay.
He's gone over. Went to like Wazoo or something, and Washington State, some other places too. I don't know, but he's somebody that I really liked, and I think he's probably close. I'd say Maurice Crum will be another one that down the road could come back to Western.
Also,
Yeah.
another person, I don't know if you know that he's coaching right now, but Steph Brown. He used to be a wide receiver on.
Yeah.
He won 3 rings with Western and everything.
Stephon TD Brown.
Yes, sir. He's he's working somewhere. I think with some high school, being like some type of coordinator there. So I mean, if he were to try to
Kenny
work his
Martin
way up,
is kind of somebody that Devin, if you remember him, he kind of has that.
Oh yeah.
He was a coach at Western. He's moved on. I think he was at South Florida and some places, but he's somebody that could come back to Western, and he's smart enough and he's cool enough and has enough presence that he can handle something like that down the road.
Yeah, he. I love Kenny. I love Kenny Martin. He was one of my favorite athletes back at Western. I won't say favorite, but he was one of the top. I cannot remember what game that was. Him and another D lineman were playing rock paper scissors between snaps with the offensive line of the other team. Funniest thing.
That's
So
iconic.
funny. Yeah, it's like, that's just some of the stuff that happens behind the scenes, and you're just like, that's hilarious. Like, y'all really doing this. But yeah, they would come off the sidelines and they're like, man, I got cheats. He's, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, we're playing rock, paper, scissors with him. I was like, okay. But yeah, Kenny's a good guy. I think he's really smart. I think he could, but I think he needs a few more years to kind of develop.
Oh yeah,
but
he's still young. He's like early 30s, so he's about our age.
Also, another
or
one.
so, so he's got time.
I think it's Cam Clemens. He's over with the Raiders and is like
Yeah,
working
that's
with
true.
them as like a
That's true.
Yeah.
another person.
He was at UT, and yeah, he's done well and very smart. I think he's got to get a little more intensity. Maybe he's turn that on. But he was always like a real steady Eddie kind of guy. So he'd be more soft spoken coach. But he's smart.
Yeah, he could definitely pick up on a college job for sure if things with the Raiders don't work out. Especially like if he could go in for, I want to say Texas or something, or even go back at UT. Because normally most people that leave UT they go back for more positioning and then just take off from there.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I am remiss. I did not mention this at the beginning of the episode. I here would like to wish Alex a congratulations or condolences for his recent wedding.
Oh yeah, congrats.
Woo-hoo! Hold on.
Appreciate
Gotta
y'all.
get-
Appreciate y'all. At least we didn't play Precious Memories while my wife was walking down the aisle. But but still, like
honestly,
it's a great feeling. It really is a great feeling. Thank y'all so much.
yeah, congratulations, buddy. We appreciate it. Appreciate
Yeah, that's cool.
your obviously support here, and uh, we're taking you away from the new wife. But well, you've been married for what, a few weeks?
3 weeks now.
3 weeks. There you go.
Woo!
Yeah.
Look at you, man.
Yeah, it doesn't
Tell
feel
us all
any
about
different,
marriage.
but it's
What we need to
still
know.
pretty good.
Teach me your
Matt,
ways.
Hey, I can write a book.
No, you're. Hey, let me tell you. I'll tell you the secret to a good marriage: communication.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Is that
You're
it?
just
I
saying
mean, I
yes.
can get it for you.
Hey, just there's a time to talk and there's a time to shut up, and there's one way you will always get the last word. Yes, dear.
Yes.
Yes, dear.
Yes, dear.
Yes, dear. But yeah, congratulations, bud. We're happy
Thank
for
you.
you.
Thank
I saw you went to the Titans game the other day on Facebook. I'm sorry about that, but you like them, so it's fine.
No, for
I
what
know,
it's
baby.
worth, things are trending in the right direction for now. So hopefully
Okay.
they don't
Is
mess
Malik
up.
Willis the starting quarterback before the end of the season? I think he is.
I probably would say so too, but then again, it's still Ryan Tannehill's team. And for what it's worth, he's still got a good reign on his regular season plays. So it's just a step by step basis. Of course, we never know what happened with his team. So
Yeah. Honestly, there for a second, I didn't know if you were talking about your marriage or you talking about the Titans. You're like, it's trending in the right direction. I was
I'll
like,
just say
wait,
this: my
hold on.
marriage
It's
is
been 3 weeks.
less toxic than my relationship with the Titans. So I'm more thankful for that.
I understand. At least I'm only disappointed in November with the Packers, so it's fine. We have that disappointment once a year, and we're good. I know it's coming every year, so it's not a new thing. But anyway, back to Austin Peay.
Can I share my thoughts real quick?
Jared, what did you think? I know you said you went through the spin cycle. What were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, so it was a good game. Obviously, like we talked about, the attendance is whatever, but I feel like we did really solid. A cool story. So I was gonna get video of the team running out for the towel rack, and it was literally so hot. The sun was just beaming down on my phone, and it literally overheated like as they were about to start running. So I didn't get the video for that. So that was a little heartbreaking. But there was some people that came over beside me, and they were recording it too. And it's like, oh, I see you're recording it. Nice. You can get some good pictures and videos. That's what they said. It's like, yeah, I'm recording it for the towel rack. And she looks at me and she's like, no way, you're the towel rack. And she gets the guy's attention. And it was Austin Reed's family. It was his dad and his aunt. So I got to meet them. Shout out to Tom. He was super, super duper nice guy. It was really nice being able to talk to him. He was really complimentary of our work, and it was so funny that out of all people, it was our starting quarterback's dad. But it was really nice talking to them, and just kind of shows the kind of name recognition we have now. But I thought that was really interesting, just randomly running into him. But I mean, as far as the actual game itself, I feel like we did good. I think Reed, I think he'll settle into his role. I mean, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, almost 300 yards in his debut. I think that's pretty solid. Of course, the defense is the biggest concern I have. I mean, they were getting kind of eat up by Austin Peay's quarterback running all over the place. I hope that's something that they can work on, just kind of being more aware of those zone reads and being able to have at least a couple spies on the quarterback at all times whenever we do play another dual threat quarterback like that. That was just kind of an issue. But I mean, it was just overall, I think we held our own. I mean, I know what our struggles against FCS had been like. I mean, heck, when we lost to Central Arkansas, we still ended up having an incredible season that year. So, I mean, I don't really think that meant anything. So, I mean, I'm not really looking too much into this one other than our defense probably needs some work, which it was good that they had this game to kind of see how things would go, maybe iron some stuff out before Hawaii. Obviously, look at the Vanderbilt game, seeing what all they did to their defense. I think that's going to be big for our offense. If we can hang maybe 40, even 50 points against them this weekend, I think that's going to look really good. Um, whether or not that happens, we'll see. I'm still very suspicious of our defense, though. But I was extremely impressed with Corley. He had 3 touchdown catches, super awesome. He's definitely going to be our wide receiver 1. I thought the offensive line held up really well too. I don't think Reed got sacked at all.
That's
So I mean,
great.
he had a lot of time in the pocket. He looked pretty solid with the time that he had. I think that if that stays that way, it'll look really good. And I thought it was interesting. I mean, Austin Peay is from Clarksville. They brought their marching band. They did really good. Even they even brought their cheerleaders and like the governor mascot. I wanted to troll the governor mascot so bad, but I wasn't ever around him. I wanted to yell that Springfield is better than Clarksville because that would probably trigger him immediately. That would have been more devastating than any WKU thing I could have said because I work in Springfield now and it's pretty close to Clarksville. But I mean, overall, I think our performance was average. I mean, it's what you would expect for a completely new offense and mostly new defense to look like. Obviously, things to work on, but we still won. That's all that matters. But I hope we can get some things solidified before we start getting into the thick of our conference schedule.
Completely agree. Alex, what were your thoughts after Saturday?
I feel like going in, like overall from Austin Peay or going into Hawaii.
Yeah, Poi. Yeah, going into Hawaii. What are you thinking?
I feel like it should be a pretty decent game going into Hawaii. This is a team that has not had much stats at all, despite being annihilated by Vanderbilt. They've only put up 250 yards, allowed 197 yards on defense, but this team is also very turnover prone too, especially the offense. They already have 2 fumbles, so if our defense could plug up the gaps a little bit more, it should be a long night for their quarterback. And offense wise, on our part, I feel like we can get the running game involved, keep Reed protected, and Reed just start slinging it out a little bit more. He's got all the weapons around him, so it's just trying to put him all polished, throwing a little bit, manage the clock a little bit better, and we'll be fine.
I think so too. I would pump the brakes. Everybody sees that Vandy score and they're like, oh. No, I don't think Vandy's awesome by any means, but I think that Western fans need to pump the brakes. Like, Vandy's not awesome, but at the same point, we're not Vandy. So pump the brakes. Vandy went for 600 yards against Hawaii. 601 yards. Passing, they threw for 197 against Hawaii. There was 404 yards on the ground against Hawaii. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We do not have the rushing attack that Vandy does. Now, I'm not saying they're awful. I'm not saying anything like that. But we've got to develop those guys a little bit more before they get to that caliber. I think this game will be closer than 16 points is what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
Jared, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, it was their first game of the season too. So they've still got things that they need to improve on, and there's a good chance that they might. I'm sure they've been looking at how we looked against Austin Peay, and you're like, wow, this is an FCS school. I mean, we can definitely hang a lot closer with these guys than they probably like Austin Peay did. So I feel like this could be a lot closer game. Initially, like before Vanderbilt and everything, I had us losing to Hawaii just for the fact that it's way too early in the season. You're playing basically like midnight, what you're used to local time over in Hawaii. You'll be jet lagged and everything else. I originally had us losing this game in my massive predictions, like every expectation to have article. Like I had us losing this game, but the Vanderbilt score made it more enticing for me to actually think that we have a better chance because we all know how Vanderbilt is at this point. So I mean, let's be
Yeah.
honest. I mean, they're constant cellar dweller of the SEC. But I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, it was all done on the ground. I mean, they were running all over the place. Is that something that Poindexter and Robichaud and Moses can they all be able to kind of maybe at least one of them get 100 yards and potentially have someone pretty consistent? I mean, we haven't really had a consistent RB1 since Gage Walker left, so I don't know if that's something that we'll really be able to have. So I mean, I still feel like we'll air it out. Obviously, that's what our offense is. There's no nothing conservative about it. So I think it will be a lot closer, but think I think we can win pretty easily. Not easily,
I think we
but I
can
do think we
too.
win.
I think we can too. I don't think it's going to be easy, but Matt, I know you got to go quick. What are your thoughts? Or not?
I think he's already off.
Yeah, I think so too. I've got him still on my screen, but that's fine.
Wait,
No,
I'm
wait,
here.
here he is.
Middle. Sorry about the background noise. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
just go sit on press row.
Yeah,
and
we
just
can
All
hear
right.
you.
Okay. So
just act like
just
you know
real
what you're doing.
quick, I think Hawaii. Like you look at the 63-10.
Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
yeah, we can hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
hear
we can hear
you.
you.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Just
sir.
talk.
Okay.
You don't have
Sorry,
to hear
guys.
us. Just talk.
I'm in Diddle. I'm losing reception. Okay. All right. Okay. So anyway, I'm thinking Hawaii. Don't look at that 63-10 score. They scored 35 in the second half. It was 21-10 at halftime. So I think it's going to be Coach Helton saying it's going to be a decent team, and they're probably going to improve. They're super young and inexperienced, so watch for game 1 to game 2 to take a big jump. But I think we'll also take a big jump too. So I expect us to win, but I do think they're going to be better than people are thinking. So
Completely agree with that.
I'm going to
Completely
hop
agree with
off.
that. I think it's kind of where all I from here.
Go Tops, guys. I'll see
Hey,
y'all.
appreciate you, Matt. Thanks for coming, buddy.
See ya.
All right, see
Yeah,
you,
no
Matt.
Okay. So where can we watch this game? Anybody have a clue?
The Hawaii game?
Yeah.
If
you're
you're
gonna
in
watch it.
Hawaii at Spectrum Sports, here I have no clue.
I don't even know if we can actually watch it. You would have to probably go through like the back rooms of the internet. Maybe if you have a plug in Hawaii that can hook you up, maybe use like their YouTube TV or something and sign into their account for some local thing, maybe. But I don't think this is one that we will really be able to see if we stay up to watch it anyways. It sort of reminds me of like the Halloween night BYU game that was super late kickoff. It's kind of the same thing for me. I remember that one was, oh God.
Man, literally just like only an hour later. So support Sam 100.7. They will be streaming the game radio no matter what, especially on any radio. Dang, this one is eluding me. What is the radio app?
The Hilltoppers out?
Yeah,
the
so
other
that's
one. Yeah, that one, and there's something else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's there's plenty of radio apps that you can use. I'm sure the Hilltopper app will have it as well. That's the main one that the university uses now.
Okay, Ross did post the other day I saw with the T1 Sports. Team 1 Sports.
I don't know
the
what that
iOS
is.
I
app.
might try that one out.
You may try that. I don't know. I'm going to put it in our show notes. I don't know. I've never used it, so don't be mad if it doesn't work. But I will not be. Like I said, I ain't watching it. I'm going to catch it later on Hilltopper Vault or something like that,
Yeah, I'm
and
gonna
we'll
be
just
out
go
of
from
town.
there. I just yeah. Sorry, I'm making notes here.
It's nice that we got to play them. I just wish it was at like 2 p.m. local time instead of like whatever actual local time it will be.
Yeah,
I
but
think
if
it's
they
gonna be
play-
6:00 their time, like 6 or 6:30.
Yeah, see, that's another 11 o'clock in the afternoon game. That's when we should have played at 11 in the afternoon. Was in freaking Hawaii, not in Bowling Green. I wouldn't have gotten roasted to death.
Let me see here. Honolulu,
Worst
right
case
now.
scenario, if we had a 12 o'clock kickoff, They would literally
Okay.
be playing at the crack of dawn.
We are 6 hours ahead on the East Coast. So right now in Hawaii, it is almost 1 o'clock.
That's insane.
So if they played at 1 o'clock on Saturday, like it'd be 7 o'clock here. That's not bad.
Yeah, that's doable. I guess they
Yeah,
just
that's
decided not to.
doable.
Yeah, just
but
cook some
it's-
breakfast and watch the game.
Yeah, so that's like a 6 o'clock kickoff for them.
Mhm.
So, but anyway, I'm just making some show notes here for our listeners. But yeah, so Alex, what are your thoughts? Where are we at on Alex's radar for this game? If we got to put a number on it, what are you saying?
Honestly, it's not going to be a blowout, but let's just go for what it is. 35-17 toppers, but I feel like we're going to get at least 20 of those 35 points in the fourth quarter.
Okay. That's not bad. Jared, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought of like an actual score prediction yet. We'll have to do our prediction article here pretty soon. But, I originally thought we would lose this game, but I think that we can win. So I'm going to take the Tops, like Alex said, 35, but Hawaii 30. I still think that
Ooh,
it's a
okay.
lot closer of a game than we anticipate. But like you said, Alex, I still think that usually, yeah, we score a lot of our points in the first half. That's just kind of always been Western's trend. I think that that's doable, but I feel like we need to have a good, strong fourth quarter. I think the defense is still solid. I mean, they did have a couple of takeaways against Austin Peay. That could make or break the game if we're able to get an interception or two or a fumble recovery or something. I think that could completely change the outcome of the game if we're able to get a couple, as opposed to maybe us having a couple with hopefully no interceptions or fumbles or anything dumb. So, I mean, special teams, it's very, very overlooked, but that's what really makes or breaks you sometimes. So I hope that we can have some pretty clean playing on that end.
yeah.
Hopefully, we'll probably have at least one good special teams play where it just turns into a touchdown, whether it's a punt return or some very zany kickoff return.
Or maybe we're kicking it off to them and they fumble it and we recover for a touchdown or something. That would be great.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of going with Jared on this. I'm going to say it's about a 5-point difference. I'm going to say 32-27.
Mm.
We're going to make it close. It's going to be a close game. And I'm going to wake up about 4 o'clock in the morning and be like, yes, just randomly. Because, my old man, body is going to be like, oh.
And then fall asleep immediately after looking at the score.
Yep. Roll over, get a nice little fist bump in the air, and then go back to sleep. Wow. So Matt, I'm texting him right now. He says 45-13. I think he's hopped up on some top juice.
Maybe so. But I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Hey,
Vanderbilt.
it's possible. It's possible. I think it's a lot to.
Or maybe
it's
we're
a
just
big
wrong.
ask.
Maybe this is Vandy's year. Maybe they win the East this year in the SEC. Maybe we're all wrong.
Hey, we could be. It's possible.
A Vanderbilt Georgia game in the SEC's high would probably just blow everybody's mind.
If Vanderbilt beat Georgia in football this year, I think the college football would just collapse upon itself.
No, wait. I'll take that back. Vanderbilt's in the East.
Yes.
SEC East, right? So it would be. Well, hell, never mind then.
Of course, the SEC is expanded again, so
Yeah.
it's
Worst case scenario:
eventually-
Vanderbilt versus Texas A&M for the SEC title. I'm calling it now.
No,
Eventually, it's just going to
Vandy
be Power
versus Bama
5.
for it all, for everything,
Yeah.
for all the marbles.
Eventually, it's all going to be like that. I think it's all going to be Power 5 schools and then everybody else.
Yeah.
It's just
Like
gonna be
at
a
least
big
two power
super conference.
conferences, and then everybody else is just by themselves.
Exactly. You'll have Eastern schools, Western schools. You'll have North schools, South schools, whatever, and that'll be it. And that's all
Schools
the
with
big
a
schools are
weird
in there.
mascot conference, like us with Coastal Carolina or.
Yes, we're gonna get thrown in there somewhere. So like I said, I just want to recap real quick. The game, we have no idea There's a couple apps, Team One Sports, if you want to check it. If not, check out Hilltop Revolt. I'm sure he'll have it up maybe Sunday afternoon, so you can check it there. Sport the Towel Rack. They're pumping out articles all the time. They're getting all the news and all that good stuff. And then starting next week, I will remind you, if you join our Patreon, you will get a chance to be on our Discord server. So you'll hear all the news and all the gossip before it comes on the podcast. You'll get daily, even up to the minute, you can ask us stuff, and we'll be able to message you right back. So join our Patreon. That's even at the lowest level, guys. That's the cheapest you can get in. You can get on our Discord server, and your name's going to go on in the end of the episode on YouTube, and we'll give a shout out for our producers, our executive producers. They'll get shout outs randomly. We'll draw a name out of the hat and pick one. But definitely, we appreciate your support. If you're not able to financially do it, just share the episode. Help spread the Red Out Nation, and we appreciate it, guys. Like I said, we'll be back next week to talk Hawaii recap, and we'll be going more football and other sports news around the hill. So
hopefully talking about a volleyball win against Louisville. I hope.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes, please.
Which, by the way, if you are in Bowling Green and the Tops win, somebody make sure Matt gets home. Okay, that's all I'm asking. Make sure that guy gets home, please. He's got a wife and kids, just for us. But as always, guys, go Tops.
Go Tops.
Go Tops.